G'day there guys, it's Connie here again from Marquee Industries. Hope you're all having a fantastic day. As always, I'm coming at you with some more stories from Reddit, but firstly I just want to let you guys know that we'll be changing our structure around a little bit. So instead of a 40-minute episode that I do every day, I'm going to split them off into two 20-minute episodes and spread them out throughout the day. And then Jack will pitch in later with an episode of his and spread out the love, so to speak. Anyway, let us know in the comments if you like that or if you don't. Feedback's always appreciated. Otherwise, let's get straight to the stories.
Alrighty folks, kicking things off on relationships. This one was written by user Grapes and Drapes, and it's titled, "My boyfriend expects me to keep up a lie with his family, but it feels wrong." So, my boyfriend and I have been together for 4 years. We live across the country from his parents, so this Christmas is the first time I'll actually be meeting them. They're hosting us at their house for 2 weeks. I'm super thrilled to meet his family. It will be his parents and 2 siblings that still live at home. He's met my parents quite a few times because they live in the same area as us. He moved here for school about 10 years ago and loved it, found a job and stayed. Everything is going amazing. We moved in together 2 years ago, and our relationship is just progressing naturally. We aren't really in a rush to try to move quickly or anything, but I'll call it a very serious relationship at this point. So anyway, yesterday we boarded our 6-hour flight. He seemed a little bit nervous and fidgety, but I know that he doesn't fly very much, so I attributed it to that, and told him I was there for him if he needed anything, to comfort him, and to let me know if I could do anything to calm his nerves. He said it was fine, and we were having a pretty good flight. Now, partway through the flight, he grabs my hand and tells me he wants to tell me something. He tells me that his parents think that we are a fairly new relationship. They don't know that we live together. They don't know that he is close with my family. He told them that we met at work when in actuality we met at school, years ago. We had a lot of the same classes and met in school but stayed friends for a long time. He tells me that they think he lives in an entirely different city. He lied to them about what degree he has, and they think he has an entirely different job. He told me that a few white lies about making his parents happy so that they would keep sending him money during school snowballed into not knowing how to tell them, and he pretty much has a totally fake life in their eyes now. He told them that I work in the same field as his fake job, even though I don't. He gave them a totally random family backstory on me. He really wants me to keep up appearances with the stories he told them over this holiday because he doesn't want to make a big scene and be embarrassed about having to lay it all out, and would prefer to wait until we get home again to tell them everything. I feel extremely uncomfortable with this, and I was honestly pretty shocked. I've said hello to his mum on speakerphone conversations, popped in for a Skype hello while they were chatting, and honestly had no idea that he had made up a huge story about us and me. I realise now that I've only actually spoken to her in the last year, which is how long his family thinks we've been together. It makes me feel like I can't trust him. He promised me that this is the only thing he's ever lied about. He said he lied about it because he wanted his parents to be happy with his decisions and wanted them to think he was making the choices they wanted for him. Would it be reasonable to assume that these are the only lies he has told and he hasn't fabricated anything within our own relationship? He never told me that they didn't know anything about us. He always made it seem like they did. I'm not really sure where to go from here or how to tell him that I don't want to do this. His parents paid for our tickets. Would the nice thing to do just be to close my mouth and let him sort this out on his own when we get home and just play along? I don't know what to do. We got here yesterday and everyone is fabulous, but so far I've just kept my mouth shut about everything. The first big family dinner is tonight, which I expect is where most of the conversation about us and what we do is going to come up, and I'm not sure how to handle it. Wow, yeah, this is weird. I mean, why would he feel the need to lie to his parents about little things like that? Arbitrary things, right? I mean arbitrary in the big scheme of things. I mean, there's got to be something going on with his relationship with his parents, and honestly, I don't think it's good. Let's go to the comments. Quote, "His parents paid for our tickets. Would the nice thing to do just be to close my mouth and let him sort this out on his own when we get home and just play along? Why would continuing to lie to these people be the best way to repay them for your flight?" Opie says, "I just meant that I don't want to be the reason there's a huge blowout if this is something that I should be letting him keep between them, the people directly affected. I didn't mean I want to thank them by being a horrible person." I don't think you can ever trust your boyfriend again. He's lying because he's afraid to disappoint his parents, and there's no reason he wouldn't do the same to you. If he gets fired from his job, he might just pretend he's still going to work every day and never tell you. If he cheats on you, he'll never admit it. If he goes into debt, he'll keep it a secret and pretend everything is fine while it continues to get worse. He didn't tell you about this situation with his parents until the last minute when he had no other option, except the option to come clean, which he didn't take. That's the level of truthfulness and integrity you can expect from him. He'll lie to you when it makes him look better, or to cover for one of his previous lies, and he'll tell you the truth when he's all out of other options. Opie replies, "Ugh, it's really hard to swallow that. I see what you're saying though." The commenter adds, "I would be more understanding if his parents had impossible standards that he could never live up to and he had to lie to them just to maintain his peace and sanity, but that's not the impression I'm getting. It sounds like he's been lying about a lot of things for a long time and still thinks he can get out of it by telling more lies. I would tell him to come clean with his parents before dinner because you won't cover for him. If he does it and actually faces the consequences of his lies for once, maybe he can learn something from this and change his ways." Opie says, "Yeah, that's true. And yes, his parents weren't expecting a surgeon or anything. They think he teaches, but he's an architect. It's still an awesome profession and in no way lesser than a teacher, so I don't understand it at all. I think I will have to tell him either he has to come clean or I'm answering honestly at dinner." Yeah, that's weird. I feel like most people think of an architect as being more prestigious than a teacher. Opie says, "Exactly." What I don't understand is that the guy is an architect when his parents wanted him to be a teacher. How can he think so poorly of his own parents who paid for his education to assume they wouldn't respect his choices? Unless they're crazy, strict or abusive, I just don't understand why you would conceal so much. She replies, "Yeah, it's a fabulous job and he has wonderful parents. I'm sure they would be incredibly proud. His younger sister is a McDonald's manager and they treat her promotions as they would if she had just made partner at a law firm. There's no way they would be disappointed. I feel so frustrated at him and honestly, I feel betrayed for his parents. They paid his way. It's so frustrating to feel trapped in this situation." Yeah, it just gets stranger and stranger. Maybe he's just a compulsive liar. I've known a couple of them. Opie makes one update. So I decided to tell him that I won't be perpetuating the lies, but I won't outright say anything because I don't feel like it would be appropriate for me to be the reason everything blows up. I actually decided not to go to the first family dinner, and I'm unsure if I'm going to stay at this point, but I don't really know what to do. I didn't pay for the ticket, so I feel really horrible about seeming ungrateful, but I got a hotel for 3 nights just to figure out what I'm going to do. I'm still thinking because everything is just so intertwined and complicated. Our bank accounts, our rental agreement, etc. So apart from the fact that I want to make this relationship work because I love him, it's also not really simple enough for me to just break away and leave. I want to work this out for everyone and figure out how to help him tell his family before we leave. Anyway, I'm so sorry I'm so late for updating, but I will update again when I have a more concrete plan. His family is amazing and I feel wretched about everything. Okay, Opie updates again the next day. Okay, I think we have come to what will hopefully be the start of a resolution. So I told his mum that I was so incredibly grateful for her generosity so far, even just one day into the trip, which is why I actually needed to take some time away and stay at a hotel for a few days, because staying with her didn't feel right until we cleared up some serious personal issues that have just come to light. I talked to my boyfriend and we decided on a plan. Tomorrow morning, his mum and dad are meeting us in a restaurant in the hotel. I offered to take them to brunch to discuss everything. I told him and his mum, separately, that I really want to be a part of this family, and for that to happen we all need to have a big conversation. The plan is, at brunch, my boyfriend is going to lay everything out on the table. I'm going to explain to them that I didn't even realize the lies that have been going on, and I wasn't comfortable staying there and lying to their face, and that I just found out about this the day we landed. I wanted to make sure that my boyfriend resolved this with them because from the moment I found out, I felt horrible, and I wanted to get off on the right foot with them. We both wanted to make sure that my boyfriend came clean while we were here. When I was talking to my boyfriend, there were definitely some tears, and I think he's going to feel so much weight off his chest when we finally talk about this. I really don't think he wanted or intended for this to happen. I don't think he would have brought me here if he wasn't okay with the truth eventually coming out. I will definitely update when the conversation happens. Thank you so much for the advice and support, everyone. Yeah, that should be an interesting conversation. One commenter says, "Is this a cultural thing maybe? I know some ethnicities get so much crap from parents and kids learn to just lie reflexively. Of course, you should break up, but since you don't want to snoop on his actual life, he's likely lying about what he's lying about." OP says, "I don't think so, honestly. They're pretty secular, white-bread Irish folk. I honestly couldn't see it being cultural, but maybe, I guess. I'm not sure what Irish people are normally like with their kids." Another comment says, "Maybe the boyfriend is lying about being an architect." Opie says, "I know for sure he is an architect. I'm not worried about that part, genuinely. He does a lot of work from our home office. We also hosted the Christmas party for his office the last 2 years, so I know his bosses and co-workers really well. I'm 100% positive they would have corrected me or not mentioned him during conversations and discussions about design projects. He's in a semi-senior role at his work, and I frequently stop by his office after work. We usually meet in the reception area to drive home. His office also has his name and job title, project manager, on his door. Trust me, he couldn't be fabricating the career with me so close and our general relationship with the office. Not trying to argue with you or anything, as I'm sure there's other lies, but his career and our bills are totally kosher, so there's no worries there. I'm an industrial designer and familiar enough with the career and worked long enough in the field that I would catch a lie about his work pretty instantly. My guess is that it's something to do with his parents funding him and assuming he has an education degree because that's what he told them he was taking for some reason. Whether he knew right away that wasn't what he was going to do or changed once he got to school, I honestly have no idea. We hadn't met yet at that time. That's the reason it's so strange and frustrating for me because he has a fabulous career. Okay, now for a final update, another 2 days later. It feels like so much to have to type out, so I'm going to try to condense it to be as straightforward and simple as possible. Basically, the brunch went really well. I was very impressed by my boyfriend. He was actually really forthcoming and laid pretty much everything out. He apologized to me and to his parents, and he gave me an opportunity to tell them anything I wanted to tell them about my actual family, my life. They were really interested, and it was really refreshing just to start to get to know them on an honest level. He basically came clean about absolutely everything, including some other personal stuff that I didn't even know about that he had told myself and them. He apologized and promised he was going to take steps to earn our trust back, including therapy. It really actually felt like it brought us closer together. His parents were quite hurt and initially upset, but I think it really did a lot for what they thought of me as a partner for their son and future daughter-in-law, which I'm really happy about. They were really supportive in the end and told him that basically, at the end of the day, he is still loved and they'll just have to start building that trust up again. I'm going to continue staying at their house now and they'll tell his siblings together. I actually ended up sitting down for a cup of tea at their place with his mum, and she did explain to me that she's going to talk to him privately about the pressure he might have felt to lie to them, because I guess they realise now that they put more pressure into him than any of the other kids, because he was originally going to follow his dad's footsteps as an English teacher. She told me that she really likes me and she hopes it doesn't affect my view of their family or her son. She thanked me for pushing for the honesty and she can't wait for the opportunity to get closer to us. My boyfriend also seems so much more open to having conversations about coming back and having them come stay with us. It really worked out in the long run for me to not make any hasty decisions because I'm really happy with how this turned out. To me, it just seems like just mistakes on both ends that culminated into a really bad choice on his end. Thank you again, everyone, for the advice. And there you go, guys. That's the end of that story. I mean, we love a good ending, but I have a feeling the comments are going to be a bit conflicted on this guy. What do you guys think? Let's read some final comments. Why would he lie about his job when he's an architect? That's a fancy job. I suspect that since his dad was an English teacher, there was pressure for him to follow in his dad's footsteps, but he wanted to be an architect instead and didn't want to disappoint his parents. I can imagine growing up constantly hearing that boyfriend is just like his dad. I couldn't. It's great that he owned up to his lies to his parents, but I would have genuinely lost trust in him with this and would have broken up. Who else knows what other things he's lied about will randomly pop up and be an issue? He knew what he was doing, waiting until she was stuck on the flight to say something. That's so crappy. It's gonna hit her later when they're home from visiting his family that he's been lying to her and to his family for years. I think she's still kind of in shock and crisis mode, and I'm very curious to see what happens after she has time to think or talk to her friends and family about it. Yeah, it's certainly an issue, that's for sure. I mean, like I said before, he could just be a pathological liar. Who knows if this will stop? Anyway guys, we're going to leave that one there and move on to another story. Alrighty, we're now over on Am I Overreacting? This one was written by user Aggressive Cost, and it's titled, Am I Overreacting? My boyfriend said I'm the prettiest when I shut up in front of his friends. My boyfriend, 25, and I, 22, were invited to a birthday party of his friend. The people at this event were all close friends of his from his contract job, and I barely know these people. Everything was going fine, and my boyfriend was clearly having a great time, but at some point, I was telling a story from my school days when my boyfriend interrupted and said, "You know, Opie is prettiest when she shuts up." Everyone laughed, and my boyfriend just kept going, saying, "You guys don't know what I go through. She never stops talking. I swear to God, sometimes I tune her out for my own sanity," or something along those lines. I'm usually really introverted, but when I warm up to someone, I'm the type to talk a lot. So when he said these words, I felt so embarrassed and humiliated, especially since he said it so casually in front of people I don't even know. I tried to brush it off, but I got quiet after that. Later, after the party was over, I told him how hurtful his comment was. He rolled his eyes and said I was being too sensitive and that it was just a joke and I was making a big deal out of nothing. He said I embarrassed him by acting cold for the rest of the night and that I should learn to take a joke. He also told me if I couldn't learn to lighten up, maybe I shouldn't come to events with his friends anymore, even though he was the one who asked me to come in the first place. I feel so awful and confused. Am I in the wrong for getting upset and killing the vibe? P.S. Throwaway, as my main has some personal info. Nah, definitely not overreacting for me. This guy sounds like an absolute prick. Who says that to his girlfriend in front of his friends? All that says to me is that he's bad news and so are his friends. The fact that they were laughing at it too makes me think that he was trying to impress them in some weird roundabout way. Anyway, let's go to the comments. This is the start of abuse. My dad acted like this with my mother. She was always the butt of his jokes and everyone laughed, but we hated it. It started out like this and then went on to fat jokes and bad in bed jokes, nagging jokes, etc. Everyone thought it was harmless fun, but he was an alcoholic and beating us all behind closed doors. My mum always laughed along and I resent her for it, honestly. I know it sounds awful, but I viewed her as a very weak woman, and it's caused me and my siblings to have very toxic relationships and anger issues. People like to brush things off and give them the benefit of the doubt because it's just a joke. It's only a joke if both parties involved find it funny. If not, it's just an insult. I can genuinely see this going really sinister. So his options for your social settings are that you're cold or you talk too much. He's more concerned that you embarrassed him than that you're hurt by his immaturity. Nice to know he's such a one-dimensional jerk. He doesn't think of you as a real person, and he shouldn't have a split second more time in your life. He is an abusive a-hole. I had an ex like that. Never liked it when I spoke out about things. Any man who basically tells you to shut up when you're just telling a story about something is not someone you should be with. Leave him. It only gets worse with the controlling behavior. Not overreacting. Your boyfriend straight up doesn't like you. If he feels so emboldened to insult you in front of his friends, this behavior will only get worse. He sounds like an F-wit, and so do his friends. Yeah, agreed. Let's go to an update. I broke up with him. We had been dating for 2 years, and it was the first time he'd acted that way, so I was genuinely conflicted, and I wasn't sure if the joke really flew over my head, but I decided to leave. It takes me a lot of effort to come out of my shell, and I feel uncomfortable to stay with someone who doesn't like that. My self-esteem is usually real low, but this time I spoke up for myself once in a long time. We broke up over text. It sucked since he kept bringing up all his contract job friends over me again and again. These are people he acquainted with less than 7 months ago, so that alone told me some things. I guess I won't be missing anything since he ended our text with, "Bye, I don't give an F." Thanks for all the sweet comments. At the time I wrote the post, I was feeling a lot down and cried a lot. I'm a bit sensitive, so I teared up reading some of the comments. Thanks again. I hope everyone has a nice day. One comment says, "Proud of you, girl. Go get yourself some food and flowers and enjoy a movie. Self-care and happiness is best." I foresee him begging you for forgiveness in the near future when he realizes his work friends don't really care about him long term. Yeah, I can definitely see that happening as well. What about you guys? What are your thoughts about this one? Maybe you got a similar story you'd like to share. Anyway, that's it from me right now. Hope you guys enjoyed those stories. Thanks for making it to the end, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a good day. Cheers.